to advance Trump tax cut debt ceiling hike. So maybe some movement there. And whenever we talk D.C., we talk D.C. policy, we talked to Nathan Dean. He's senior policy analyst for Bloomberg Intelligence. He's based down there in Washington, D.C. We banished him to D.C. He's down there. Nathan, talk to us about this news coming across, about just kind of what we want to see from, or what the House would like to do in terms of the tax cut, the debt ceiling, all that type of stuff.
Yeah, so this is a big win for Speaker Mike Johnson. Essentially what this does is this allows Republicans to move forward and begin the specific negotiations on how they're going to extend the Trump-era tax cuts, and then subsequently what are they going to cut to try and offset some of that expansion, whether it's Medicaid, the Inflation Reduction Act, and SNAP benefits. Now, the fact that the House passed this resolution is fairly significant, allows the momentum to keep going. But the question that I have that we'll likely find from Bloomberg News later today is, what did Speaker Johnson have to do to get those hesitant Republicans on board? Because, right before I came on the air, he was huddling with a lot of the moderate Republicans on the House floor. I want to find out what he had to do in order to get that deal to move forward. But again, it's a big win for the Trump administration because now they can spend the next few months trying to come up with those specifics. We've always told our clients that we think this is eventually going to happen, that there is going to be a deal, but the question that still remains is, will this deal increase the deficit? I think so, fairly likely. And what gets cut to extend these tax cuts? And we don't think it's going to be all that much, assuming that they move forward with the plan that they're adopting right now.
Okay, so to that point, is this the House version of the Senate bill that passed last weekend, or is this their own version that now they go discuss with the Senate?
No, so this is the House adoption of the Senate resolution. Now, if you remember, in order to pay for these Trump-era tax cuts, you're looking for around $4.6 trillion. Now, what the Senate did is they're essentially assuming that's current policy and that's baseline, which means that the cost of it is essentially zero. Now, the Senate also included $4 billion with a B, in terms of estimated cuts, which they call is a floor. The House problem is that the House was looking for around $1.5 trillion with a T in terms of cuts. So now the question goes, okay, well, if the Republicans are now pursuing $4 billion with a floor, with the idea that it could go further, are they essentially going to agree on a deal that doesn't cut much, therefore increases the deficit fairly significantly, assuming you don't get enough economic growth to pay for it? Or do the House Republicans, who are insisting on trying to do more cuts, hold out to the end when they realize that cuts to Medicaid, the IRA, and SNAP benefits are just too difficult to actually stomach, and they rather just kick the can and go for the easy solution?
All right, I'm all for the easy solution in my life, Nathan. So why don't we just let's be clear? It looks like they're going to pass this thing. Tax cuts are going to be extended, and we'll just add to our national debt. Isn't that kind of what's probably going to happen?
Well, there's two things that are coming up. One is the timing of this. I mean, look, they don't have to do anything here until the end of the year, December 31st. But this does include a $5 billion increase in the debt ceiling. And according to Treasury, that X date is probably going to be sometime in July and August, suggesting that this plan will have to pass in addition to that. But to your question about the deficit, the real big question we have here is that what additional tax extensions or tax cuts come in this? The Senate plan had $1.5 trillion in additional tax cuts. Think when Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, says no taxes on tips, no taxes on overtime, and so forth. Is that enough stimulus to essentially allow the economy to regenerate some of the momentum that it's lost over the last few days? It's still a question to be decided. So there's a lot of time left for the specifics to have to play out. We think this is going to probably go until June at the earliest, September at the latest. So, we have a lot of time to prepare for this. But again, Congress is doing the easy thing right now. They're waiting for the difficult times and the more specific times to come later.
But I wonder if there's a greater sense of urgency now that we've had this market turmoil on the equity and the bond side, and those don't seem to be dying down irrespective of yesterday's move. It's like, get the good stuff out.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you think about the good stuff that the Trump administration is promising for business, it's this idea of tax extensions and also deregulation. We saw last night an executive order, if you will, calling on regulators to essentially bypass, it's a little wonky here, the thing called the Administrative Procedure Act, where they can essentially say, you know what, let's just go deregulate and say it's done. Normally, you have to have a comment period, a process, and it takes like about a year. So I think there is some urgency going on at the White House that in response to what we've seen over the last couple of days to get that good news out. The problem for the good news on the tax debate is that it is going to take time to get all these Republicans on board, because as we just saw, it was a challenge just to get the Republicans to vote for the blueprint. It's going to be an even greater challenge when they see what the economic and the actual impacts of these policies will be.
30 seconds here. Did the president win yesterday, or did he put the 90-day
30 seconds, that's
things,
just harsh.
or was it just bowing to the market?
I think the president gave the markets breathing room. I mean, the situation hasn't really changed. In 90 days, these tariffs potentially could come back, but I think the president gave the market breathing room so they could develop a bigger strategy that may be a little bit more susceptible to having Wall Street view them in a more favorable light.
You know who didn't win at all? The shorts in the equity market. They lost hard pretty much all across the board. Hey, Nathan, really appreciate it. Nathan Dean, Bloomberg Intelligence, a senior policy analyst, joining us there. All right, coming up, we're going to take a look at the broader markets here with Lara Castellano.